Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Today is Sunday, December 27, 2020. Deutsche Welle report. Pakistan. 7 troops killed in Balochistan insurgent attack. 7 Pakistani paramilitary troops were killed by militants in an attack on a checkpoint in the southwestern province of Balochistan late on Saturday, the military said on Sunday. The event took place late Saturday night in the town of Harnai, around 170 kilometers (105 miles) east of the provincial capital, Quetta. The Pakistani military has been fighting a low-level insurgency for decades in the province, which borders Afghanistan and Iran.
BBC report. Boy Scouts of America accuse Girl Scouts of starting war. The infringement meant many parents mistakenly signed their daughters up for Boy Scouts, thinking it was Girl Scouts, lawyers said. In response, the Boy Scouts accused the Girl Scouts of starting a ground war. The Boy Scouts dropped the word boy from its recruitment program and opened up to female members in 2018, but the Girl Scouts said the change would erode their brand, calling the move uniquely damaging to them, filing an initial lawsuit in November 2018 against trademark infringement.
CNN report. Man charged after 3 killed in shooting at Illinois bowling alley. A man has been charged with murder after 3 people were killed and 3 wounded in a shooting Saturday at a bowling alley in Rockford, Illinois, authorities said Sunday. Police received calls about a shooting with multiple victims at Don Carter Lanes around 5 minutes to 7 p.m. Rockford Police Chief Daniel O'Shea said at a news briefing Sunday morning. Upon arrival, officers heard gunfire from inside the building, O'Shea said.
Deutsche Welle report. Belarus authorities cracked down on Lukashenko protesters. Hundreds of demonstrators marched through the streets of Belarus on Sunday to protest against President Alexander Lukashenko, who has ruled the country for more than a quarter of a century. Local human rights center Vyasna said 13 people were detained during the traditional weekend protests, 10 in Minsk and 3 more in other Belarusian cities. Belarus media reported that groups of people took part in small rallies scattered throughout the country and that heavy security forces were also present in Minsk.
Fox report. Nashville RV played 60s hit song Downtown by Petula Clark before detonating, police. The explosive-laced RV parked in downtown Nashville played a warning message to evacuate, a countdown, and even blared the mid-60s hit song Downtown by Petula Clark minutes before it detonated into fiery blast early Christmas Day, injuring at least 3 civilians. 5 police officers who first responded to the scene early Friday and led evacuation efforts before the explosion recounted what happened during a press conference Sunday.
Al Jazeera report. U.S. legislators press Trump on relief bill as jobless aid expires. The U.S. government headed towards a chaotic last few days of the year as President Donald Trump's refusal to approve a $2.3 trillion financial package caused millions of jobless Americans to lose benefits and threatened to shut down federal agencies due to lack of funding. Trump, who leaves office on January 20 after losing November's election, came under pressure on Sunday from legislators on both sides to stop blocking the pandemic aid and government funding bill which was approved by Congress last week.
Fox report. German pilot traces massive syringe in recent flight to honor coronavirus vaccination campaign. A pilot in Germany had some fun during a recent flight to honor the start of coronavirus vaccination campaign in Europe on Sunday. Sammy Kramer, 20, mapped out the route he would need to take to trace a giant 70-kilometer-long syringe in the sky. Using a Diamond Da-20 katana, he flew some 200 kilometers near Lake Constance in southern Germany at about 5,000 feet in the air to remind people about the start of the COVID-19 campaign.
Al Jazeera report. Egyptian delegation visits Libyan capital for talks with GNA. Senior Egyptian security officials have visited the Libyan capital Tripoli for the first time in years and held talks with officials from the internationally recognized Government of National Accord (GNA), the Libyan Interior Ministry said. The visit on Sunday was the first for senior Egyptian officials to Tripoli since 2014 when the country entered a civil war between the UN-brokered GNA in Tripoli and a rival administration in the east allied with renegade military commander Khalifa Haftar.
CNN report. Brexit is finally done. It will leave the UK poorer. The United Kingdom and the European Union have agreed on a trade deal, closing the book on more than 4 years of uncertainty over how the country would conduct business with its biggest export market following Brexit. UK companies are heaving a collective sigh of relief at retaining tariff-free trade with a market of 450 million consumers that buys more than 40% of Britain's exports and provides more than half its imports.
Fox report: Illinois restaurant owner says limited coronavirus stimulus will cause middle class to starve to death as the coronavirus pandemic causes state officials to tighten up restrictions and lock down businesses. Many are itching for additional aid from the government, but the recently approved relief package with a proposed $600 stimulus check included isn't enough for middle-class Americans and small business owners who are in dire need of help. Illinois restaurant owner Jeff Buckler told Fox and Friends Weekend on Sunday.
Al Jazeera report: Gaza airport, the legacy of a Palestinian dream. It was 7 a.m. on June 2, 1996, in Cairo when Captain Ziad Al-Bada received a surprising phone call from Palestine Liberation Organization leader Yasser Arafat. Arafat told Al-Bada, then a 39-year-old Palestinian Airlines captain and Arafat's personal pilot, that he would be the first to land at the newly built Gaza International Airport. There were no aerial maps, no radars. The Gaza airport wasn't even globally recognized. Al-Bada, now the airline's general director, told Al Jazeera.
BBC report: 7 killed in knife attack in China's Liaoning province. Another 7 people were reported wounded in the mass stabbing, which took place in Kaiyuan, a small city in Liaoning province. Police have arrested a suspect, the state-run Xinhua news agency reports, although a motive remains unclear. Witnesses described seeing a man stabbing people seemingly at random. Violent crime is relatively rare in China, but the country has seen unrelated knife attacks in recent years.
Fox report: Wars, instability pose coronavirus vaccine challenges in poor nations. Arifullah Khan had just administered another polio vaccine when the gunfire blasted from the nearby hills. It happened so suddenly. There was so much gunfire it felt like an explosion, he said, recalling details of the attack 5 years ago in Pakistan's Bajor tribal region near the Afghan border. A bullet shattered his thigh and he fell to the ground. His childhood friend and partner in the vaccination campaign, Ruhollah, lay bleeding on the ground in front of him.
BBC report: Central African Republic election, polls open amid fears of more violence. On Saturday, the Constitutional Court rejected a bid by opposition candidates to postpone the vote because of the insecurity. In the run-up, 3 UN peacekeepers were killed by unidentified assailants during 2 separate attacks. This is the first election since a peace deal was struck in February 2019. President Faustin Archange Touadéra is seeking a second term in office and has accused his predecessor, François Bozizé, of fomenting a coup with rebel groups.
CNN report: From royal splits to PR crises, Queen Elizabeth had a rough 2020, but the pandemic gave her renewed relevance. 2020 was a tumultuous year for most people, and that's no less true for Queen Elizabeth II. Britain's monarch has long occupied 2 roles, one as the head of the state and nation, the other as the head of her own family, and over the past 12 months she has been forced to confront crises on both fronts. Here's a look back at one of the Queen's most challenging years to date. A rocky start: the new year was barely underway when Prince Harry and his wife Meghan announced to the world, and the rest of the family, they were quitting their roles as senior royals.
Deutsche Welle report: Niger stages historic election despite jihadi attacks. Polls open Sunday in Niger's presidential election that is expected to see the country's first democratic power transfer since independence from France amid Islamist violence. Former Interior Minister Mohamed Bazoum, the ruling party's candidate, is the overwhelming favorite to succeed President Mahamadou Issoufou, who is stepping down after 2 5-year terms. The West African country has seen 4 coups since achieving independence from France in 1960.
CNN report: 2 12-year-old boys made $250,000 during the pandemic and are giving back to local animal shelters. Like most 12-year-olds, Iyan and Mickey Nakvi love their family Christmas traditions, like making cookies and wrapping gifts. But most of all, they love decorating the Christmas tree with their family's heirloom ornaments. One day, as the Connecticut-based brothers were hanging their decorations, one of their favorite ornaments slipped off a branch and broke. It was then that the light bulb went off and the ornament anchor was born.
Thank you for watching 5 p.m. Recap. To be notified, you can subscribe our channel and activate the bell.